Hi crafty folks, Amy here, and today I'm going to make a celebrate card using the Joseph's Coat technique. Now I have this bold print background stamp from Hero Arts. I have some embossing tools here. I have some Wow embossing glitter clear powder, and I have some ink pads from Catherine Pooler. So I'm going to use my new to me mini all-to-new blending brushes. Here's a photo of the finished card to show you where we're headed. Now this is a really fun technique that I'm sure you've heard of, but if not, I'm going to walk you through how to do it. It's one that I don't often think about, but it always yields dramatic, colorful results, and it's fun. So basically the concept is using emboss resist. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I feel like I'm not off the top of my head. But anyway, I'm going to start with some very hodgepodge, hot mess express looking ink blending. But it won't matter because, first of all, I'm going to stamp over this, and then we're going to do a resist technique to create that cool Joseph's Coat technique that you saw on the finished card. So when I'm done chucking my blending brushes all over the place and kind of filling in this panel full of color, then we'll move on to the next step. Now I don't want this ink to be wet, so I just hit it with my heat tool, and then I'm going to load up this background stamp in my regular size MISTI. Now I don't want to butt this up to the edge, so I'm going to use my sticky sheet here just to kind of hold this panel down, because I want this stamping to go over all four edges of this card panel, and sometimes if you nestle it up in the corner, then the stamp can't get over those edges. Here I'm just testing to make sure it was actually dry. There's glitter in it, so it was a little hard to tell, but it was actually dry enough. So make sure your panel is dry before you move on to this step, otherwise you'll get embossing powder where you don't want it. So this is the first trick to combat embossing, is using an anti-static tool. Now that particular one is from the Rabbit Hole Designs. I'll link that and any other products in the video description box below. But the reason you do that is that it takes away the static so that the embossing powder will only stick to your embossing ink rather than any other places where you may have oils from your hands or things like that. So I'm just stamping this down with the clear sticky embossing ink, and I'm using my press tool that my friend Pat sent me, and I'm just going to do this a couple times just to make sure that I get nice even coverage, because I want this entire card front to be covered with this gorgeous stamp from Hero Arts. So again, applying pressure, and then I will bring this panel out once I'm done stamping. I think I go for a third time here, and then I will coat it with that clear embossing powder. Now you can use regular clear, but in this case I wanted to kick it up a notch and use this gorgeous clear with glitter just to kind of give it another little element. But I have some scrap paper here, and I'm going to coat this whole panel with this clear embossing powder. You can see the gorgeous glitter in there, and you can see it's pretty good coverage. I'm just going to coat it again a second time just to make sure I get all the nooks and crannies, because I want this full thing covered. Now I'm using my Wow 2-speed heat embossing tool, and I'm actually doing it from underneath. Now I wouldn't normally necessarily do it from underneath, but anytime I'm using an embossing powder with glitter, I don't want that glitter to fly all over the place. So I start from the bottom and make sure it's at least pretty much melted before I come to the top. Now here is the gorgeous part and what makes it the Joseph's Coat technique. Basically, you're going to cover your entire panel with a dark ink. I'm using a black pigment ink and just kind of wiping it off as I go. But the magic of this is that the embossing, the clear embossing, is going to trap that gorgeous color underneath that you ink blended, but it's not going to allow the black to cover it up. So it's an emboss resist technique. You just kind of wipe off the excess that's sitting on top of your embossing, and then that's where you get that awesome, cool textured embossing with black all in the parts that are not embossed, and then your colored ink blended portion is secure underneath. So here I'm just using this frame portion that I die cut off just as a fun little element, and I'm going to liquid glue that around the outer perimeter of my card base. So this is US A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is an optional step. If you wanted to have a white border, obviously you could skip this step, but then what I do to give it a little something extra is pop up the center portion that's die cut out. So that center portion is going to have the pretty stitched edge rectangle die cutting on it, so it gives it that nice little design element, and then the center portion will also be popped up from the outer frame background. So it'll be a continuation of the design, but it's going to be at 2 different levels. So it's a fun little extra something you can do if you want. So I'm going to use some liquid glue here. Or actually, I'm going to just pin up my liquid glue so it doesn't dry out on me. And then I'm going to pull the backer off and then place this panel in the center. So again, it'll be a perfect continuation of the little frame, but it'll be at a different height because of that foam. So I'm just going to put this in here now. You only got one go at this. So you could do liquid glue so you have a little bit of wiggle room, but you got one shot because that stuff is sticky. Now I have to figure out how I want to finish the card. So I have my die cut sentiment book here. This is my storage solution. I use baseball card pocket protector sheets. If you've watched my videos, I'm sure you've already seen this, but I'm just flipping through to see what my options are. I have this Celebrate You that kind of matches the colors, but I don't know, there's just something about it that didn't seem quite right. So now I'm looking at that Celebrate die from Catherine Pooler, and I do believe that's what I end up going with. It's this really pretty glitter cardstock that I had previously cut out, and it kind of matched the blue that was beneath it. So that's what I ended up going with for this design. But I'm just going to flip through and make sure I'm seeing all my options here. These were some other ones that would have worked. These are different glitter cardstock that were a really pretty color and would have matched perfectly, but I didn't really want to do 2 different words. So again, just flipping through, got lots of options to choose from. And then I have the sub-sentiment here. These are Tailored Expressions simple strips. You can also get those storage boxes from Tailored Expressions. They hold them all in there. Super handy, and they make my crafty stash organizational heart very happy. So I do have a video all about those if you want to check those out. I will try and remember to link it below, but I do want to make this a little bit more dramatic. I'm going all sorts of extra on this card, and I have some adhesive backed foam that I die cut a separate layer out with the same die, and then I'm going to pop that blue layer up on top of it with some liquid glue. You can offset it a little bit or just have it kind of peek through from the side just to give it a little surprise pop of color, but I'm just poking out these little bits with my Judy tool to get those out of the way. But this foam layer will have adhesive backer on it. You can either buy it that way, I'll try and link it below, or you could just use a 2-way stick tape, like if you have a roll of it from scrapbook.com. I believe that's what I did here. You could just put it right on the back of your foam, and then you have an adhesive layer ready to go, and it just makes it like a glorified sticker. So you could actually just do the foam by itself if you wanted, but again, I'm going to back it with the foam and then put the glitter die cut layer on top. Added a little bit of blingage with those clear resin droplets. Added a sub-sentiment on the inside, and that finishes the card. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. Let me know in the comments if you've tried this Joseph's coat technique before, if you have any other tips for me, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.